Okay, so in this video we'll be talking about the steps of strategic management. They'll basically be the longest, and again this we talked about the steps of the strategic management process. Let me just rewrite that again. The steps of strategic management process, and the following are the steps. You have step 1, strategic intent. We'll talk about it. Step 2, strategic analysis. You have step 3, strategic choice. You have step 4, strategic implementation. And step 5, you have strategic control. In this video I'll just be talking about step 1 and 2 since I've covered step 1 at some point. So strategic intent, as we said last time, is all about giving direction to the firm. It's all about giving direction to the firm, and it has to do with certain things such as vision, mission, corporate objectives, and anything that has to do with saying where we want to be in the next few years. Now you can go to the vision, mission and corporate objectives video to see what we meant by that. Now, to give you an example of why this is so important, I'll give you two companies. The first one is Google. The second one is Yahoo. And we can see why this one became the market leader and this became the market follower, or we do not even understand in which industry they are in. Now, Google's vision is simple: to make the world's information accessible to each and every person, and to make it useful at that. Now, what that means is that Google is basically an information firm. That's one. And to make this information accessible, that's two. Now, but when you look at Yahoo, it takes it a bit further to take the world's news, it has sports and so forth, entertainment and so forth, and to make this a rich online user experience. Now, it's a very long statement. I don't know, I can't remember it exactly, but it embodies everything that is wrong with Yahoo. It has captured so many products: news, sports, entertainment, and so forth. And it has also captured a very wide scope online space. And that is where we can see the companies that this firm is buying, sometimes they go bust. An example is MySpace. They are not clear on who they are. I repeat, they are not really clear about who they are at any given point. But Google's identity is so clear that when they buy a company like Alphabet, it is in line with their vision statement and who they are. So strategic intent is so important because it determines everything that the firm will do. Again, consistency is important. Yahoo has had 21 mission statements and over 6 CEOs come and go, trying to turn around the company, while Google has been somewhat consistent over the year in terms of its identity and what they are trying to do in the world space. Now, if you look at the product offerings in Yahoo and Google, you can see this. You have Google Map, you have YouTube, you have Google Scholar, you have all these other tools that are under Google are somewhat in line with what they are doing, but Yahoo, not so much. They're all over the place. Again, give the right direction to the firm because it will determine the success of the whole matrix over here. So let us assume that I've done that. We have come up with a very good plan and predetermined where we want to be at a certain time. Now, what is the next thing that we do? The next thing that we do is we do what you call strategic analysis. And strategic analysis is all about getting the context right. I will repeat, it is all about getting the context right. And in context here, I'm talking about, are we internally okay and are we externally facing opportunities and threats? And it is what you call conventionally a SWOT analysis. And why is it so important? It is so important because, using this diagram over here, these are strengths, these are weaknesses, these are opportunities, these are threats. It is so important because once you do a very good SWOT analysis, it will show where you fall in each over here. That's 3 and that's 4. So if you fall under 1, you are strong internally, and externally you have opportunities. So if you fall under 2, you are strong internally and you have threats in the environment. If you fall under 4, you're weak internally and there are threats. If you fall under 3, there are weaknesses and there are opportunities. Now, to help you understand, there are several grand strategies. You have what you call growth strategies, you have hold strategies, you have turnaround strategies, or what you call harvest strategies. Now, a growth strategy is where you are aggressive with your strategy. A hold, you are trying to consolidate the position that you have already achieved. Turnaround and harvest are basically you're not doing okay and you need to turn things around so that you can be profitable or you can get competitive again. Now, the reason is that whether you fall 1, 2, 3, or 4 will affect whether the approach should be a growth strategy, hold strategy, or turnaround or harvest strategy. Now, if you fall under a position where you have opportunities and you are strong over here, these are growth strategies basically, and it supports an aggressive strategy. Now, if you are strong internally and you have threats in the environment, again, here you can have what you call a diversification strategy or a whole strategy, as it were. Now, if you are weak and you have threats, this is what you call a defensive strategy or a divestment strategy. Divest or invest selectively. Divest or invest selectively. Now, if you fall under 4, you have opportunities and you have weaknesses. This is basically what you call a turnaround strategy as the main option over here. So it's very, very important to remember this. Now, so you have 2 types of analysis in this step. The first step is what you call internal analysis. The second step is what you call external analysis. Now, internal analysis, I want to know whether I am strong or weak internally. External analysis, I want to see what are my opportunities and what are my threats. Again, this can be in terms of scale, 0 on this end, being on this end, or even let's just say -10 on this end and 10 on this end. So you're basically weighing or using all the tools to show whether you are strong internally or you are weak. Now, let us see some of the strategies that we can have to see whether I am internally strong. You have cultural analysis, you have HR analysis, you have financial ratios analysis, you have that's financial, you have a competence analysis over here. So let me just touch on 2, the cultural and the financial ratios. Now, the financial ratios, we're basically talking about the things that you did in financial accounting 1 and 2 financial ratios. There are liquidity ratios and so forth and so forth. For example, when we are looking at the liquidity ratios of a certain organization, we want to tell whether they can be able to meet their short-term financial obligations, cash ratio being specific in this end. If they cannot be able to meet their short-term financial obligations, then again they are leaning on this end and not on this end. You do all the classifications of ratios to be able to tell where exactly is the firm financially speaking. That is very, very important, because it will determine whether we are growing or we are harvesting or divesting. Now, under cultural analysis, we say any given culture of any ecosystem supports the organization in one way or another. Now, this basically means that in culture, we want to know what are the stories that define the organization, what are the rituals and routines that define an organization, what are the control systems that are in that organization, what are the symbols that are there in that organization, what are the power structures that are there in that organization, and what are the organizational structure, the formal ones that are in that organization. And that's a lot of organization. Anyway, so you're basically trying to create a story over here that defines what the organization is all about. Is the culture a source? Is our culture a source of strength or a source of weakness? Now, if it is a source of weakness, again, we are falling on this end. If it is a source of strength, we are falling on that end. You'll take the HR and you're trying to see, is our HR pool a source of weakness over here or a source of strength? Once you're done with it, with that, in even the competitive edge analysis and all those tools, you give the weights to show overall where do you fall. Do you fall here? Do you fall here? Do you fall here? Or do you fall here? It will give degrees to where you fall. Now, you go to the external analysis, and external analysis I'll be talking about too. It's the Peso analysis and Porter's five forces model. Now, again, the reason why we are doing this is we want to see where we fall on this plane over here. So if I fall over here and I am here, then in reality my firm is at X, Y, Z point over here. If I fall here and I'm on opportunities over here, then my firm A, B, C will be falling around this point over here. If I fall over here and in terms of opportunities I fall under here, then this is basically where my firm is. So basically, basically all over the place. Basically what we're trying to do, you want to map where your firm is, and this here is an example of one map. This here is another example of a map. Now it shows if I fall under quadrant 4, for example, to what degree do I fall there? If I fall under quadrant 1, we can see to a small degree. And to the greatest degree, internally I am strong, but externally not so much. But you can have a scenario where you can have this sort of situation. Again, it gives you a rough idea of where you fall. So let's talk about these tools in the next video, external analysis tools. So let me just clear this.